My stepdad yelled, "You'll quit school and babysit your step-siblings. If you ever want us to accept you," so I changed my number and they never heard from me again. Before we move forward, please show some love by subscribing and share your location in the comments. I love seeing where our family is watching from. I was halfway through folding laundry in my bedroom when Silas's voice boomed up the stairs like thunder. "Julie, get down here. Now." My hands froze on the warm towel. That tone meant trouble. I'd heard it before, usually right before he demanded something unreasonable. I descended slowly, gripping the banister, my heart already racing. In the living room, Silas stood with his arms crossed. My mom Diane perched nervously on the couch's edge. His 3 kids, Jaden, Amara and little Trey, were scattered around playing oblivious. "Sit down," Silas ordered. I remained standing. "We need to talk about your priorities." "My priorities?" echoed confused. "This college nonsense has gone on long enough. You're 21, living under our roof rent-free, gallivanting to campus while your mother works herself to death." His jaw clenched. "Meanwhile, these kids need supervision. Daycare's bleeding us dry, $400 a week." My stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to step up. Be part of this family for once." He leaned forward. "You'll withdraw from that university, stay home and watch Jaden, Amara and Trey. That's what family does." I looked at Mom, waiting for her to intervene. She studied her hands. "Silas has a point, baby. Money's tight and—" "Are you serious right now?" My voice cracked. "I'm 1 semester from graduating." 1 semester. "Then you should have thought about that before," Silas sneered. "If you ever want us to truly accept you as part of this family, you'll do what's right. Otherwise—" He shrugged. "Well, family loyalty goes both ways." The room spun. This couldn't be happening. I'd met Silas 3 years ago when Mom brought him to my college apartment, her face glowing with that new relationship shine I hadn't seen since Dad died 7 years prior. "Julie, this is Silas. He's special." Special turned out to mean demanding, controlling, but Mom was blind to it. Within 6 months, they'd married. Within 8, I'd moved back home to save money for my final year, a decision I regretted daily. Silas came with baggage, 3 kids from 2 previous relationships and an ego that filled every room. He'd made it clear from day one, I wasn't really his family. "You're Diane's daughter, not mine," he'd said during our first dinner together. "Don't expect me to play daddy." Fine by me. I had a father once. A real one. Silas was just the man sleeping in my mother's bed, occupying space where my dad's memory should have been sacred. But lately his attitude had shifted. He'd started assigning me chores, expecting me to help with his kids, commenting on my cushy student lifestyle while he worked construction. "Must be nice," he'd mutter whenever I left for campus. "Some of us got real responsibilities." I'd ignored him mostly, counting down to graduation. To freedom. To getting out of this house and never looking back. Now, standing in that living room, I realized he'd been building to this moment. Testing boundaries. Seeing how far he could push before I broke. The problem? He'd miscalculated. I wasn't his wife. I wasn't his child. And I damn sure wasn't his free child care. "Let me get this straight," I said slowly, my voice steadier than I felt. "You want me to throw away 4 years of work, thousands in student loans, and my entire future? To babysit?" Silas's face reddened. "To be part of this family. That's what you don't get, Julie. Everything's always about you. Your school, your dreams, your future." He gestured wildly. "What about these kids? What about your mother? She's exhausted. Then maybe you should watch your own children." The words exploded out before I could stop them. "They're your kids, Silas. Not mine. I didn't birth them. I didn't marry their mothers. You did. How dare you? He stepped forward, finger jabbing toward my face. Under my roof you show respect. Your roof. I laughed bitterly. Mom bought this house with Dad's life insurance money. The insurance from when he died saving someone from a burning building. This isn't your house. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom's face went pale. Silas's hand clenched into a fist, and for a terrifying second I thought he might actually swing. Instead he smiled, a cold, calculated expression that chilled my blood. Fine. You want to be technical? Since it's not my house, you can pay rent. $1,500 a month starting next week. Plus utilities. And if you're staying, you're helping with the kids regardless. That's insane. I don't have that kind of money. Then I guess you're choosing, Silas said softly. School or family? Can't have both. He walked toward the kitchen, then paused. And Julie? If you walk out that door without agreeing, don't bother coming back. I looked at my mother, really looked at her. When had she become so small? So quiet? The woman who'd raised me solo after Dad died, who'd worked double shifts to keep food on the table, who'd taught me strength and independence. Where had she gone? This hollow-eyed stranger staring at the carpet wasn't her. Silas had somehow extracted everything that made Diane Brown herself. Mom, I whispered. Say something. Please. She finally met my eyes, and what I saw there broke something inside me. Resignation. Fear maybe. But worst of all, agreement. Baby, Silas is right about one thing. Money is tight. If you could just take a semester off, help us get stable. A semester? I interrupted. You really think this is temporary? You think if I quit now, he'll magically let me go back? I shook my head. This is a trap, Mom. Can't you see that? It's not a trap. Silas called from the kitchen. It's reality. Welcome to the real world, little girl. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice. I've been sacrificing, I said quietly. My hands trembled. I sacrificed having a normal college experience to save money living here. I sacrificed peace to deal with your mood swings. I sacrificed my sanity watching you disrespect my mother daily. I grabbed my phone from the coffee table. But I won't sacrifice my future. Not for you. Not for anyone. Silas reappeared, holding a beer, his expression smug. So you're choosing school over family. That's what I thought. Selfish just like. I'm choosing me. I cut him off. Something you should try sometime instead of manipulating everyone around you. I headed toward the stairs. I'll be out by morning. Julie, wait. Mom stood reaching for me. But I was already moving, already planning, already gone. That night I packed like my life depended on it, because it did. Every photograph of Dad, every certificate, every piece of me that mattered got stuffed into trash bags and suitcases. My hands shook as I worked, adrenaline overriding exhaustion. Around midnight I heard Silas and Mom arguing downstairs. Just let her go, he said. She'll come crawling back when reality hits. Mom's reply was too soft to hear, but it didn't matter. I was done waiting for her to choose me. At 3 a.m. I texted my best friend Shanice. Emergency. Can I crash at your place? Her reply came instantly. Always. Doors unlocked. Love you. Thank God for real family, the kind you choose. I loaded my beat-up Honda quietly, making 3 trips while the house slept. The last thing I grabbed was the framed photo of Dad in his firefighter uniform. He taught me never to let anyone dim my light. Tonight I was finally listening. I left a note on the kitchen counter. I'm choosing myself. Don't contact me unless you're ready to apologize and mean it. Then I drove through the dark streets toward Shanice's apartment, tears streaming, hands gripping the wheel like a lifeline. My phone buzzed constantly. Mom calling, texting, begging me to come back to talk, to reconsider. I silenced it. The old Julie would have answered. Would have felt guilty. Would have maybe even turned around. But something had shifted in that living room. Silas had finally revealed what I'd suspected all along. I was leverage, not family. A free employee, not a daughter. And Mom had chosen him. That hurt worst of all. The confirmation that her love came with conditions now. Shanice met me at her door in pajamas, eyes wide. Girl, what happened? Over coffee I told her everything. Her face cycled through shock, anger, and finally fierce determination. You're staying here. As long as you need. She worked as a nurse practitioner, had a spare room, and more importantly had my back. That man is toxic. Your mom will realize eventually. Or she won't, I said hollowly. She chose him, Shanice. After everything. She's trauma bonded. Classic abuse victim. Shanice squeezed my hand. But you got out. That's brave as hell. The next morning I went to campus and met with my advisor, Professor Williams. A black woman in her 50s who'd mentored me since freshman year. She listened intently to my situation. First, you're not dropping out. We'll figure this out. He pulled up my financial aid. You qualify for emergency housing assistance and increased loans. It'll be tight but doable. Then she looked me dead in the eye. Julie, I've seen countless bright students sacrifice their futures for family guilt. Don't be one of them. Your father would want you to finish. Those words broke the dam. I sobbed in her office. Ugly crying, the kind that comes from deep grief. Grief for the mother I'd lost to Silas. Grief for the family that should have fought for me. When I finally composed myself, Professor Williams handed me tissues and a list of resources. You're going to be okay. Better than okay. That afternoon I did something radical. I changed my number. Created new social media accounts. Blocked everyone connected to Silas. Mom's number stayed unblocked, but I didn't respond to her increasingly frantic messages. She needed to sit with what she'd allowed. What she'd chosen. Days became weeks. My new routine emerged. Morning classes, afternoon library sessions, evening shifts at the campus bookstore Professor Williams helped me secure. Shanice's apartment became my sanctuary. We established rhythms. Meal prepping Sundays, study sessions over wine, late-night conversations about everything except my family. Well, my former family. The silence from my old life was deafening at first. Then liberating. Mom discovered my number had changed when her calls suddenly wouldn't connect. She showed up at my old campus haunts, but I'd anticipated that, varying my schedule deliberately. She left notes on my car. Please, baby, just talk to me. I miss you. The notes went in the trash unread after the first few. Silas had clearly forbidden her from apologizing, from admitting wrongdoing. The notes always danced around his ultimatum, never directly addressing it. Typical. Meanwhile, I thrived. Without the weight of their dysfunction, my grades soared. I joined study groups, attended networking events, actually lived like a college student should. Professor Williams introduced me to internship opportunities. I landed one at a marketing firm downtown. Paid, prestigious, exactly what my resume needed. For the first time in 3 years I could breathe. But guilt gnawed at me. Late at night I'd wonder about Mom. Was she okay? Did she regret her choice? Had Silas gotten worse? Then I'd remember her silence in that living room, her refusal to defend me, and the guilt would harden into something else. Resolve. She'd made her bed. I'd made mine. Sometimes love means protecting yourself first, even from the people who birthed you. Dad would have understood that. He'd raised me to have a backbone after all. 3 months of silence shattered on a random Tuesday. I was leaving my internship when a familiar car pulled up. Not Mom's, but Silas's pickup truck. My stomach clenched. He rolled down the window looking haggard. We need to talk. His tone lacked its usual edge. Desperation had replaced arrogance. Nothing to discuss, I said, walking faster. Julie, please. He actually said please. That stopped me cold. Just 5 minutes. Please. Against my better judgment, I paused. Talk. Fast. Silas climbed out and I noticed details I'd missed before. Weight loss, dark circles, trembling hands. Diane's in the hospital, he said quietly. Has been for a week. Nervous breakdown. Won't eat, barely speaks. The doctors say she needs you. The world tilted. What? She's falling apart without you. He swallowed hard. I'm falling apart. The kids keep asking where you are. Daycare suspended Trey for behavioral issues. Jaden's grades tanked. Amara cries every night. He looked genuinely broken. I messed up. I messed up bad and now everything's chaos. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. But mostly I felt numb. Where is she? St. Mary's. Psychiatric ward. They're talking about long-term treatment if she doesn't stabilize. His voice cracked. Please, Julie. He needs to see you. I'm begging. I stood there on that sidewalk, people rushing past, and felt 4 years of complex emotions collide. Anger at Silas for causing this. Fury at Mom for choosing him. Guilt for leaving. Grief for what we'd all lost. But underneath everything, love. Stubborn, painful, complicated love for the woman who'd raised me, even if she'd failed me recently. I'll visit, I finally said. But Silas? This doesn't fix anything between us. St. Mary's psychiatric ward smelled like antiseptic and despair. The nurse led me to Mom's room, warning me gently, she's fragile. Very fragile. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. Mom sat in a chair by the window, staring at nothing, looking decades older. Her hair was uncombed, her eyes vacant. My vibrant, strong mother had become a ghost. Mom. I whispered. Her head turned slowly. Recognition flickered, then tears. Silent, streaming tears. Baby. Her voice was paper thin. You're here. I crossed the room and knelt beside her chair. She grabbed my hands with desperate strength. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I failed you. I let him. Sobs racked her body. Your father would hate what I became. Those words cracked my chest open. I held her while she shattered, 3 months of suppressed emotion pouring out. Between gasps, the story emerged. After I left, Silas's true colors intensified. He blamed her for my departure, grew verbally abusive, controlled every aspect of her life. The breaking point came when he announced he'd gotten his ex-girlfriend pregnant, again, and expected Mom to help raise that baby too. She'd finally seen him clearly, but by then the damage was done. Depression consumed her until she couldn't function. I chose wrong, Mom whispered. I chose him over you and it destroyed everything. Destroyed me. She gripped my face. Can you ever forgive me? I wanted to say yes immediately. Wanted to absolve her and pretend 3 months of agony hadn't happened. But that wouldn't be honest. I don't know, I admitted. You really hurt me, Mom. Watching you side with him when I needed you most. My voice broke. That's not something I can just forget. I know, she said. I know, baby. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I swear if you give me another chance, I'll spend the rest of my life making this right. Over the next hour, Mom revealed everything. Silas had been cheating throughout their marriage. She'd found evidence months ago but ignored it, afraid of being alone again. His financial situation was a disaster. He was thousands in debt from gambling, a secret addiction she discovered too late. The ultimatum about me quitting school? That was about control. He'd felt threatened by my education, my independence, My refusal to worship him like everyone else was expected to. He wanted you dependent, Mom explained, her voice gaining strength. Wanted both of us trapped. That way we couldn't leave when we realized who he really was. She'd filed for divorce 2 weeks ago, but the emotional trauma had already pushed her over the edge. The kids, Silas's kids, had been temporarily placed with his sister while he figured out his life. They're better off away from him too, Mom said bitterly. He's poison. A nurse interrupted with evening medication. After Mom took it, she looked at me with clearer eyes. I need to tell you something else. Something I should have said years ago. She took a shaky breath. After your father died, I was terrified. Terrified of being alone, of failing you, of not being enough. Silas seemed like safety. Like someone strong who could fill the void your dad left. Tears fell again. But nobody can replace your father. And in trying to fill that hole, I let a monster in. I betrayed your dad's memory. Betrayed you. Betrayed myself. The rawness in her confession hit differently than earlier apologies. This was truth. Ugly, painful truth. Mom, I get being scared. But you're not weak for wanting companionship. You're human. I squeezed her hand. You were just with the wrong person. That doesn't erase the amazing mother you were before him. The one who taught me strength. She's still in there. Mom smiled sadly. I hope so. I want to find her again. With your help, if you're willing. I didn't answer immediately. Forgiveness is complicated. But sitting there, seeing her genuinely broken and accountable, that was a start. After leaving the hospital, I met Shanice at our favorite diner. She listened to everything, then said what I needed to hear. Your mom's trauma doesn't erase your trauma. Just help her. But protect yourself first. Wise words. That night, I drafted a letter outlining my conditions for rebuilding our relationship. No manipulation. No guilt trips about abandoning her. No contact with Silas ever again. Therapy, for both of us, together and separately. And most importantly, she had to prove through actions, not words, that I was her priority. I delivered the letter the next day. Mom read it slowly, tears dripping onto the pages. I agree to everything, she said. Whatever it takes. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Phillips, supported my boundaries. This is healthy, she told me privately. Diane needs structure and accountability. You're giving her both. We scheduled our first joint session for the following week. Meanwhile, Silas started calling my old friends, trying to find my new number. Shanice shut that down immediately. If you contact Julie, I'm filing harassment charges. She's done with you. He showed up at the hospital once, demanding to see Mom. Security escorted him out. His desperation was almost satisfying. Almost. Mostly it was just sad. A grown man who'd destroyed his family through selfishness, now facing consequences he couldn't manipulate his way out of. Mom's discharge came 2 weeks later with conditions. Medication compliance, weekly therapy, and a safety plan. She moved into a small apartment near campus. Dad's life insurance money she'd finally wrestled from their joint account. No more house haunted by Silas's presence. A fresh start for both of us, though we maintained separate residences. I wasn't ready to live together again. Maybe never would be. Trust once shattered, rebuild slowly if at all. Our first joint therapy session was brutal. Dr. Phillips pushed us both. Mom cried admitting how she'd failed. I cried admitting how abandoned I'd felt. But we also laughed, remembering who we'd been before Silas, the inside jokes and traditions he'd slowly eroded. 2 months into Mom's recovery, Silas ambushed me outside campus. "This is your fault," he screamed, grabbing my arm. Students scattered. "Diane was fine until you poisoned her against me." His breath reeked of alcohol. Before I could respond, campus security tackled him. Turns out he'd been banned from campus property after harassing Professor Williams, trying to get information about me. The incident resulted in a restraining order. Finally, legal protection from his chaos. But Silas wasn't done. He started a smear campaign. Social media posts painting me as the villain who destroyed his family, turned his wife against him, abandoned his children. Old acquaintances messaged asking if it was true. I ignored most, but Shanice went scorched earth, posting screenshots of Silas's threats, his lies, his true character. My favorite cousin Terrence, a lawyer, sent Silas a cease and desist letter so scathing it could have melted steel. The truth emerged publicly. Silas's gambling debts, his multiple affairs, his abusive behavior. His family, even his own sister who'd taken his kids, started distancing themselves. His ex-girlfriends came forward with their own stories. Turns out I wasn't his first victim, just the first to successfully escape. The court awarded Mom full rights to her assets. Silas got nothing except his debts and reputation in ruins. Karma's real, Shanice said when we heard he'd moved back to Atlanta with his tail between his legs. But it didn't feel like victory. His closure. The chapter was ending whether he accepted it or not. Meanwhile my life bloomed. I was graduating in 3 weeks, on time with honors. Professor Williams nominated me for a prestigious postgrad fellowship. The marketing firm offered full-time employment. Everything Silas said I couldn't achieve, I'd achieved. Without him. Despite him. Mom attended every milestone, rebuilding trust brick by brick. She wasn't perfect. We still had hard conversations, moments where old patterns emerged. But she caught herself now. Apologized. Adjusted. The mother I remembered was slowly returning. Graduation day dawned perfect. Sunny, breezy, full of promise. I wore my cap and gown with Dad's firefighter badge pinned to my chest, Mom's idea. She sat front row, camera ready, crying happy tears before the ceremony even started. Shanice sat beside her, my chosen sister through everything. Professor Williams gave the commencement speech, and when she mentioned students who overcame extraordinary obstacles, she caught my eye and smiled. I felt seen, valued, whole. Walking across that stage to receive my diploma, I thought about the girl who'd fled her home in the middle of the night, terrified and heartbroken. She'd been so scared of choosing herself. But choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. It's honoring the people who genuinely loved you, like Dad who'd want you to soar. Silas had tried to clip my wings, make me small, manageable, controllable. Instead, he taught me exactly what I wouldn't tolerate. What I wouldn't become. After the ceremony, Mom hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. Your father would be so proud. I'm so proud. No mentions of Silas. No guilt. Just pure, unconditional love. The kind I'd almost forgotten existed. We celebrated at Dad's favorite restaurant, his empty chair acknowledged but not mourned. His legacy lived in me, resilient, educated, free. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Silas, somehow getting through, congratulations. You won. Happy now. Almost blocked it. Then smiled and replied, I didn't win. I survived. There's a difference. Goodbye, Silas. Then I blocked him permanently. Some stories don't need neat endings with everyone reconciled. Some stories end with you walking away and never looking back. That's okay. That's healthy. As sunset painted the sky, I looked at Mom, at Shanice, at the diploma in my hands, and felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. Real, deep, unshakable peace. The kind that comes from knowing you chose right. From knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Silas had demanded I sacrifice everything for his definition of family. Instead, I'd learned the greatest lesson. Family isn't who controls you. It's who celebrates you. And sometimes the family you choose, the one you build from ashes and determination, is the only one that matters.